Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Chelsea from Business Review. It is our pleasure to have today HSO, who are sponsoring this webinar, Empowering Capital Markets Thrive in a Digital World with HSO on Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Power Platform. Now, before we begin, I'd like to welcome you to our webinar platform on24. You notice that this webinar is browser-based, so if you disconnect for any reason, please just click on the link that you have received via email to rejoin the session. In order to ask questions, you can send them via the questions widget anytime. Just type them into the box at the top of your screen and click submit. We'll allocate some time at the end of the session to address any questions or thoughts you may have. You can also download HSO's webinar resources via the green resources clipboard widget below. Please use the yellow help widget if you require any assistance, and you can move, resize, and maximize any of the windows in front of you to get a better view of the slides or the media player. I will now pass over to Brian Henry, HSO's Financial Services Director.
Thank you very much, Chelsea, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Chelsea said, my name is Brian Henry. I'm the Financial Services Director here at HSO. Work very closely with my counterpart, Tom Berger, in the States, and the accelerators, which are built on Microsoft CE that you're about to see, or Natalie's going to talk you through later, are developed on both sides of the Atlantic. So we're really excited about this initial webinar that we're doing. It's our first that we've done on capital markets in the UK, but we don't want it to be the last. So we'd like to make this as interactive as possible. There's a chat facility which Chelsea's just talked you through. Please send us questions. And when we're going through the assets later, the accelerators later, please give us as much feedback as possible, because we want to make this a series of webinars, and we want to make them as relevant as we can for you. So in terms of the agenda, I'm going to kick things off. I'm very quickly going to talk a little bit about HSO and why we're qualified to talk to you. I'm then going to hand over to Jamie Bulmer. Jamie is the Financial Services Director at Microsoft for EMEA. I've worked with Jamie for many years. We've both sold deals together in financial services on the Microsoft platform. And Jamie's going to talk about some trends within capital markets that he sees from the Microsoft perspective, the Microsoft platform, and it's going to end on a little bit about AI and Copilot, which is really exciting for us. And lastly, but certainly not least, Natalie Brooks, our most senior CE architect, is going to talk you through HSO's accelerators and assets in capital markets. We've got so many, so we've picked sort of 2 or 3 areas to talk you through today. But again, please ask questions, and please let us know what you want to see next time round, so we can make the content as relevant for you as possible. So that's the agenda. Just a little bit about HSO. So who are we, for those of you that haven't heard of us before or haven't had exposure to us? So we're a global GSI, but in my view, we're very unique. We're very unique because unlike all the other GSIs, we don't focus on all technologies. We're not a jack of all trades. We're singly focused on Microsoft technology. And within that, we're laser focused on the D365 platform and Power Platform. So that gives us real leverage with Microsoft. It means that we're really well connected to the product teams in Redmond for all the D365 suite of products and the Power Platform. We're in 15 offices around the world. I mentioned at the top of this presentation that we're very well. I work very well alongside Tom Berger, who runs the States of Financial Services. So if your organizations are working on a global basis in Asia, States, Europe, we can service all your needs. So yeah, that's very important for you to understand who we are. In terms of our relationship with Microsoft, don't worry, I'm not going to read all these badges out and accreditations, because we'll be here all day. But the one at the top, Microsoft Inner Circle, I think there's around 25,000, Jamie will correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's about 25,000 Microsoft partners out there in the marketplace globally. And there's 50 in the Inner Circle. So the top 50 partners within the world are part of the Inner Circle. That, again, gives us real access to the product teams in Redmond. We know the roadmaps of all the D365 suite of products and Power Platform. We know what's coming. Our sponsor is Charles Lalama, who heads up BizApps globally for Microsoft. We meet quarterly with Charles. And one of the commitments that we've made, which will feed into what Jamie's going to talk about, is that we've committed to have Copilot working in all our IP, our accelerators, and IP that we take to market by the beginning of next year. So there's going to be some big announcements coming soon around how we are working with Microsoft on Copilot and embedding it in our accelerators moving forward. Another important fact is our depth and breadth of the Microsoft stack. So yes, what you're going to see today are accelerators, and when I say accelerators, these are things that you get for free with working with HSO. We're not selling the IP. You get that if you choose to work with HSO for that particular workload. So we're going to talk to you about CE, but we're Microsoft Partner of the Year for Finance. And for a lot of the financial services clients that you'll see on the logo slide in a moment, we haven't just put CE in for them, and there's accelerators you're going to see today. We've helped them with full digital transformation by putting D365 Finance in, and also CE, working with them on data analytics. So we cover the full depth and breadth of the Microsoft platform. Our experience, so as the slide builds, you'll see that these are all our current financial services customers. There's some big names on there. I'm not going to go through them all. I'll very quickly talk about one of them after this slide, but you can see CapTrust, Warburg Pincus, PIMCO, Cerebus. So there's some big asset management, private wealth organizations that we've provided D365 solutions to. Quite a few of those, especially the wealth management ones and the asset management ones, we've implemented the accelerators, which Natalie's going to talk you through after Jamie speaks. And if you go to our website, I haven't got time to do it now to talk about them all individually, but if you go to HSO's website, you'll see a case study on each of those organizations. And at a certain point, if we talk to each other and you're interested in some of our assets and I was working with you, you'll be able to talk to those organizations as well. So I'm just going to pick one. Sorry, just getting used to my slides seem to have... right, okay, forgive me. I'm just going to pick one organisation to talk through, and then I'm going to hand over to Jamie. So, CapTrust, this is a retirement planning investment advisory firm with more than $240 billion worth of assets under management. For these guys, yes, we've implemented the accelerators, which Natalie's going to talk about later in the presentation, but we also digitally transformed their finance solution. So we've put D365 Finance in for these guys. We've completely changed the way they deal with and interact with their customers using D365 Sales and Service. And we've also put in an Azure integration framework for these guys too. It's always, you know, when we're telling you things and we're explaining, when you're hearing from the sales guy, that's one thing. But if you go to our website, you'll see a couple of videos from the CapTrust CIO and people from the business talking about how well the projects have gone with us, and more importantly, what ROI they're getting out the back end of these projects. So I'd ask you to go to our website and do have a look at some of those fantastic videos that we've got loaded. So that's enough from me. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'll come back in at the end. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Bulmer.
Thank you very much, Brian. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you're all well. So yeah, I just wanted to ensure that we were on the right slide. So hopefully you should be able to be seeing some of the market trends there and that we're seeing inside Microsoft. And so really, as we look across the industry, I think this year especially is a year of great change. We're looking towards industry players trying to ensure that they have monetization of the data. Microsoft has taken an active part in this through our investment in London Stock Exchange Group, for example, as they try and bring new capabilities into the market. We also see a huge amount of democratization of the public markets, and this is having a huge impact on competition across the piece. Especially important for this year as well is how we look at delivering our commitments towards sustainability and ESG standards across capital markets. And this is really drawing on the capabilities that we have in technology to try and improve the efficiency with which We work with ESG standards and a lot more around the regulatory side as well. We're seeing a lot of traction from customers in actually executing on their digital transformation agendas. I think it's been great the last few years that we've been able to set the North Star and direction of travel with our customers, but actually now it's about making that a reality. And certainly there's still a lot of regulatory churn in the market that companies are having to deal with as well. So when you set that kind of set of challenges against changing environmental conditions, we've obviously got huge interest rate changes across Europe at the moment, and that's forcing different asset classes to be moved around and focus in different areas. But we've also had a real kind of look at the underpinning value metrics that we see our customers wanting to achieve and change. And so a lot of that is revolving around focus on improving the total assets under management, lowering operational cost base, especially at a time when operational costs tend to be going upwards rather than downwards. We need to get the efficiency back in there. And so one of the ways that Microsoft is really helping customers to do that is to put in key technology enablers that will help us deliver against some of these challenges. Things like simplifying the data estate, providing effective client reporting, modernization of some of the legacy and end user computing environments that we've had, and also improving the productivity scenarios through which we operate some of our ESG and regulatory standards. So those are really the kind of trends that we see. If we move on one more slide in the deck, I think Microsoft's very well positioned to help us achieve with our customers in partnership against some of these objectives. We're now a $5 billion business, results released by Amy Hood in the last quarter of the previous fiscal year ending in the end of June. So we're a big part of the Microsoft ecosystem now in terms of the product capabilities. We're outgrowing the competition year over year and quarter over quarter against key competitors in category products. So things like Salesforce in the Dynamics category of products, and also against players like UiPath in the low and no code sphere and the RPA space. So I think we're very, very well positioned as we look at our investments in AI moving into the future to deliver on that value for customers. And then as we think about the technology stack that Microsoft has available to us, really at the center of that picture, we've placed the Microsoft Copilot capabilities. So these are generated out of the Azure space, underpinned by global cloud scale, compute centers, and obviously provided with integration services so that we not only enable feature support across our application stack, but also enable great companies like HSO to include Copilot capabilities in their own offerings to market as well. And usually those are provided for specific industry niches and the kind of way that we see the challenges into the industry as well. We're launching 6 versions of Copilot, including Copilot capabilities that are coming to the productivity services. Content authoring in PowerPoint and Word, ways to help with answering emails in Outlook. But we're also bringing our sales Copilot into the business application sphere, and also Copilot capabilities into the other areas of that product as well, such as customer service and field service as well. So we're really trying to launch those capabilities to help improve the productivity of individuals. And where we've been measuring that with our trial and preview customers over the last 6 or so months, we've found on average between 26 and 45% productivity improvements from people who are using the full features of the Copilot capabilities to help them with their daily tasks. It reflects on data that's pulled from the Dynamics sphere. So if you're talking to a sales prospect, then it will actually look at the records, the history, the activities that we've done with them, and really give you not just a summary, but also some suggestions about how to engage with that customer and what they're really after as well. All of this, obviously, we call it Copilot because it's not designed to be an automatic pilot. It's designed for people to utilize to maximize their own knowledge and background and productivity around customers. So we do provide it with citations and references, and also in terms of content that can be copied and pasted into customer communications rather than being applied automatically. And then when we also look across our low code and no code platform, we're engaging with the Copilot capabilities to help people that traditionally may not have been writing apps and be super users in the space or technology savvy individuals to help improve the quality of the apps that they can create by simply talking to the application. So you can build a Power App now by literally just typing in what you want, and it will build an application on the fly for you, and you can give it feedback to change that app as you're going through. When we think about the developer landscape globally, we're about 1 million professional developers short of where we need to be to do a full kind of cloud migration of the app stack that we see in financial services, around the world over the next 5 years. And so for us, having that low-code platform to help accelerate that change and bring the data closer together is really going to help us with things like the regulatory challenge and ensuring that we have connected processes with our customers. We also have some outside edge use cases that are much more suited to financial services. So we obviously have our financial services cloud for financial services accelerator that we have that we use as a baseline, as a data model and a set of process capabilities that are very suitable to repeatable kind of usage scenarios around customer onboarding and around loans processes for banks. So we're bringing that consistency across the industry, where great partners like HSO can build on the capabilities and the foundations that we've already put into place to make the framework much more suitable for the industry as a whole. And we're also investing in terms of our financial services compliance program. So we work proactively with more than 125 regulators around the world to ensure that the terms and conditions exist so that you can take those capabilities out of the box and be compliant with the regulatory authorities right from the word go. And then if we look at the major 3 scenarios that Microsoft sees in this space, most of the work that we do is around AI-infused sales and deal management in the capital market space. So how do we integrate with the tools for productivity? How do we manage deal life cycles and track statuses as they transit across our organizations? That's predominantly what we see customers investing in first in this particular area. And that's why we've invested so heavily in the Sales Copilot, because it's probably the most relevant area for our customers to make a big splash in. The second major area that we really feel we do very, very well is around the digital research and analytics platform space. So basically providing client insights prior to meetings, being able to generate call memos automatically, be able to understand clients' interests and sentiment through those conversations, and then to provide recommendations into advisors so that they can make the best decisions with the most knowledge about a customer and also the least preparation time to get ready for that as well. We're also working on Copilot capabilities that deliver content for us, for anyone that's publishing fact sheets or any kind of market analysis to customers, that really kind of helps create that content from the knowledge that you have in your organization. So that's really the second major pillar of work that we're doing. The third one is much more around cost efficiency. And so when we look towards the low-code platform, that's really helping us drive the change in legacy applications to modernization and into the cloud, and to consolidate systems and data processes so that they can run more effectively and efficiently in the future. So that's really the investments that we're making. I'm going to hand over to Natalie now, and she's going to take you through a little bit of a look at the technology in more detail. Please do feel free to ask any questions, and we'll address those at the end of the session. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jamie. And hello, everybody. And thanks for joining us for this afternoon. Over the course of the next half an hour or so, what I want to do is go through a little bit of the high-level features that we've got included in our asset management accelerator. Excuse me. Essentially, as I say, drilling into some of the verticals of the financial services, the area we're going to be focusing on this afternoon, it says asset management, but looking at the different distribution channels. So the institutional, intermediary, and of course, wealth with high net worth. And what we've done with our accelerator is, because of the different distribution channels, we have allowed for configuring our asset with 3 different flavors. So depending on what type of user you are, you would access the app, and it would have the information that would be more pertinent to you and the way you do your business based on whether you're intermediary, institutional, or private client. Generally speaking, we've got some general features which cover all three. It doesn't matter which distribution channel you're working in. Some of the features are the same across all. So essentially, over time, with tracking of emails and appointments and phone calls, all the different activity types, we've realized that having a single location to view the narrative history of the relationship with your clients is key. So we've built out the functionality of meeting notes to be able to holistically store that information in one place and capture it. The idea being that it's got to be easy to use, both from the UI, whether you're using your laptop or tablet, or even on your phone, making it quick and easy to capture things like your meeting logistics and notes, adding the commentary of what's happened within that meeting via either text or speech to text using OK Google or Siri, for instance. Quickly capturing the products that you've discussed and the attendees of that meeting, whether they be client attendees, internal users within the organization, as in your organization, or even third-party external, whether they be attorneys or accountants or that sort of attendee, all captured together on the one record. And then also being able to quickly create things like follow-up activities or tasks off the back end of that particular meeting note. Another one that's also a general feature is just we've added Google address lookup functionality. So entering in things like addresses is now as simply as typing the address out, selecting from the list that pops up, and of having that address formatted for you with standard information, quick and easy. Moving on to some of the features that are included in our intermediary version of the application. Generally speaking, we allow for the organizational and contact hierarchies with the concept of consolidations. So essentially allowing us the ability to group organizations and contacts together as a roll-up view of what are the activities that are happening underneath it, but for 3 different types of scenarios. So we cater for corporate families, all organizations belonging to a parent rolling up together. And we can derive this from the immediate relationship between parents and subsidiaries and the ultimate parent from data that we pull in from Dun & Bradstreet, for instance. We also cater for the scenario around families and households, all the contacts that belong to a family or a household tracked together underneath that household record. And then we also have individual contacts, and we understand that a contact could have multiple roles based on whether it's a decision maker, for instance, and capturing that contact details in the sense of corporate email, phone number, and address. But that same contact could also be a participant in some sort of plan, and having their personal email address and details stored. So being able to capture different roles for different people within the organization as well. The visibility of all these contacts, the activities, the financial accounts, again, are all rolled up underneath that consolidated view. So things are easy to see, and you can see the holistic view of everything that's happening for those consolidations. It also allows us to see the penetration and the relationships across the consolidation and how we've achieved. Visually, we can navigate the hierarchical relationships that we see between parents and subsidiary in a nice organogram sort of views. And again, similarly from a relationship point of view, being able to see the customer relationships of the people within those organizations, within our clients or households. What we also have is the ability to view our inflow and outflow tracking. So again, it allows us to track the current assets under management, things like gross and net sales and redemptions for client accounts, all again listed underneath those consolidated views that I've mentioned. We can also see the data visualized. We've got Power BI reports, which we've pre-configured as part of the applications, which can be used. They can also be configured slightly differently if the views need to be changed. But essentially, it just allows us a nice visual of being able to look at that information from the inflow-outflow tracking. We're also able to generate alerts off of the back of that information as it comes to within the system in order to alert account managers and strategy owners, for instance, about things like large purchases or redemptions. And again, this is all fed through from integration. So integrating with portfolio management systems and transfer agent systems, bringing that information in order to have it available for us in one place without having to go to additional systems. We've also created some dashboards, which I'll run through in the next couple of slides. But one of the ones that we've got is per relationship. So we can see it on organization, on the contact, on the consolidation, and just a summary of all the critical activity that we have known for the record that we're on. We've got the 3 and 30, as we call it, which as is available for us on the record before making a call to a particular client, or even if a client calls in, for us to be able to get 3 critical things that we should know under 30 seconds so that we can best manage the relationship and I can have some context about who it is that I'm going to be talking with. And as I said, this is all embedded within the organizational account records, within contacts, within the consolidation, and also on the opportunities. So that information is visible from wherever I'm working. Some of the other dashboards that we've got, again, that we've done through Power BI embedded within the system, are things like team daily dashboards, getting a view of the activities and status of records across the team within which I work. I get a user dashboard or user dashboards, which I can view my activities and state of records, clients, opportunities, and take action. And we also have advisory or branch dashboards, so I can actually see for advisors or branches what activity is going on with that particular branch or advisor in order to get that holistic information as quickly as possible. We've also got opportunity scoring, again using AI, which analyzes the history of all the opportunities we've got within the system and what has caused opportunities to be lost, and helps us score the opportunities that are in flight based on all that information, and giving us an up-to-date score about whether it's trending up, how close it is to closure, or how strong it is to closure, allowing our sales team members to focus on opportunities and relationships where they're most likely to close. But also allowing us to track when things are, as I say, trending up or trending down, but allowing us to take action in order to improve that score or work on that relationship if we need to in a proactive manner. And then we've also got a integration which we've built with Maplytics, which allows us to visually do things like trip planning. So if I'm going to be going, for instance, to Paris for 2 or 3 days, it will allow me to identify clusters of prospects or clients or investors by geography in order to plan on-site visits and best use my time whilst I'm there. From identifying those clusters, I'm then able to also build out lists and send out email invites in order to organize those meetings and face-to-face sessions as needed, and then also allows for the following up upon trip reports once I've actually been to my meetings. Some of the institutional application features which we've got are the ability to manage marketing campaigns and subscription management. So the ability to build and manage subscription lists, for instance, for sending out newsletters or regular communications about specific products or product launches. We can group our clients that meet specific criteria and actually do some rich segmentation in order to provide these lists or build these lists for follow-up with sales teams if needed. We've also got the ability to provide RFP and RFP management. So it provides a central place for us to be able to create and manage RFPs that are in process, and as well as keeping a repository of any previous RFP responses which have been generated for reference in when completing any future ones that come in. Excuse me. What it does is it allows us to track key owners and dates around the RFP. It can also be linked to SharePoint and Teams in order to provide a collaboration space for the RFP responses, all linked to the records within the application available within Teams or within D365. We've also got the Who Knows Whom feature, which basically using the information we've got of the users or co-workers that exist within our organization, we're able to provide insight into who's got good relationships or working knowledge with organizations or client records within the system, and who we can reach out to within our organization in order to get that insight or further insight into the organization or the contact, or even do a warm introduction if needed. With consultant management, we've got generic features which come out of the box standard with D365, and it's on organization or contact records. We've got the concept of what they call an assistant, which really is just a way of the system intelligently telling us what activity is happening against an organization or a contact, whether there's meetings happening today or within the next 24 hours, what tasks or activities are due today or within the next foreseeable future, but also if there's been no contact with that particular organization or contact for a given number of days. The D365 platform allows for automatic email tracking. So whether I'm working in Outlook, those emails can be tracked back to the organization or contact records, or even opportunity or household records as needed, in order to provide the fact that we have a running history of all the activity that's happened, in order to be able to fully monitor the relationship we have with our clients. We've also got the ability for it to suggest activities and provide almost next steps on what to do with information that it's gleaning from notes that are being entered into the system, for instance, whether new contacts need to be created, or a task or a phone call activities based on what's been said within those notes, and allows us to quickly create those records without manually having to do it in an onerous way. We've got the ability to outdial and call from within the system out to Teams if we're using Teams, and it will immediately log that call as a record, again, without us actually having to do it. It will do it automatically. As I mentioned before, we have Teams integration to enable that collaboration and integrated chat. And we've also got relationship analytics, so basically reviewing overall interactions that we have with our organizations and our clients, and provide detailed insights as to how that relationship is doing. The HSO features that we've built on top of it, provided as part of our accelerator. As I kind of mentioned before, we have that 3 in 30 dashboard, the 3 critical things I need to know about the particular record that I'm on, or the particular client that I'm looking to deal with, in under 30 seconds. We have the ability to capture and store product interest. So what products does that customer own? What products are they interested in, and their level of interest. Again, stored against our client records, so we have that information at our fingertips. We have the address lookup using Google Address. We've got those consolidations, the rolling up of all those activities underneath the consolidation for a family or a household or an organization or a contact. The meeting notes, which I mentioned briefly, the financial accounts, the inflow and outflow tracking that I covered before, and custom notifications and alerts. So based off of things that are happening, where there's a first trade coming in or a large redemption, that those things can trigger off notifications, so that we can keep people up to date with what is happening on their client records as they happen. Now moving on to the third flavor, the third distribution channel, some of the wealth features that we've got. The AI-driven recommendations. So as things are happening within the system, AI models are generating some recommendations based on what it has learned from previous like activities that are happening in the system for our clients, and off of triggers that we've set up in order to at least provide these recommendations as next steps, next best action, so to speak. We've got business process flows and pipeline management, and the idea of the business process flows is to provide common process through qualification and close. So as we move through the life cycle of things like opportunity records, we can actually have standardized way of doing that through different stages, essentially, providing for common pipeline activities across. What we've also got is we're capturing as opportunities, for instance, move through the business process flow. We capture those sales stages, the the duration that the opportunity was in that stage for, as well as pre and post financial values, just in order to keep a running history of what happened through the process as the opportunity it moved through those stages. What that then allows us to do is to be able to have reports that we're able to access to analyze our sales pipeline, and allows us to figure out how long opportunities are staying in certain stages for, holistically across all opportunities, but also allows us to start drilling into, for specific users or specific teams, what's happening at the different stages, in order for us to either figure out, do we need to do anything to make our process more streamlined, or what is it that people are doing that we could then adopt in order to make our process more streamlined. But it just gives us the analytics to be able to start having those conversations and make those decisions. What we also do is we take snapshots of the pipeline every week and every month, in order to allow for point in time reporting and comparison as to how our sales pipeline is doing in comparison to other periods and points in time. It also allows us to be able to get the insight of the trends overall, whether it's green and things are moving in a positive direction, it's moved to the next sales stage, there's increased financials, whether it's yellow as in it's not much is happening, it's potentially stagnating, or red, something's gone wrong and negative. How do we pick that up and proactively try and do something in order to fix that? We've got the household and management, as I mentioned before, in order to be able to track everything that's happening underneath that household, all the family members or participants that are within it, as well as the running history of all the activities that are happening within that relationship and the financial accounts linked to it. Portfolio management, we provide a summary of all the current states of portfolios associated within the organization, the contact or the consolidation. And it enables users immediately to see the information without having to refer to another system or going into a different system. The data is loaded via integration, but it can also be made available through Power BI and embedded within Dynamics. We offer both options. And that's it from me, running through it at a high level, just to give some features, give some high level insight into the features that we've got available. So yes, if there's any questions from anybody, please do feel free to ask, and I'll hand back to Brian.
Thank you very much, Natalie. That was excellent. Thank you. Yeah, so lots of questions coming in. We're bang on time, so we've got about 60 seconds, 2 minutes to get a couple of these questions in. But like I said at the start of the presentation, guys, please come back to us after this event. You're going to get a questionnaire. Out of everything that Natalie's just shown you, where do you want us to hone in on next for the next event? Because she's showed quite a few: institutional, personal lines, wealth. So yeah, your feedback is invaluable to us. So please let us know what you think and what you want us to focus on for the next event. But a couple of questions, ones that I can probably take. Are there any licensing fees associated with the accelerators, the IP that Natalie's just been describing? And the answer is no. So you buy your core product for your Microsoft and your licensing agreement with your LA. You choose HSO to work with you on that particular workload. And we accelerate time to value by bringing these accelerators with us. There's no additional licensing needed for licensing spend for you to spend, which is fantastic news. Are there details, case studies on what you have delivered for the companies that you discussed earlier? Yes, absolutely. So as I previously mentioned, pretty much all of those logos, and there were plenty on the logo slide that I showed earlier on, there's a case study on our website for pretty much all of those. Some of them are complete digital transformation, so D365 Finance, CE, Power Platform. Some of them are just CE on the assets which Natalie's just described there. But please take a look, go diving around on our website. It's really interactive. It's easy to find information and case studies, so I'll encourage you to do that. Just looking through the questions. Will you be including Copilot in the next iterations of your accelerators? So Jamie, do you know what, Jamie, that you explaining where the word Copilot came from? I hadn't heard that before, so that was good for me to hear that. So thank you for that. But absolutely, we've made a commitment to Charles Lalama, our worldwide head of BizApps, that all our accelerators and IP, because we also have IP in other areas and other sectors, will include Copilot by the beginning of next year. So there's lots of exciting stuff happening at HSO and Microsoft. So stay tuned for those announcements. Pretty much that's it. So, will the presentation slides be shared after the webinar? Absolutely. Chelsea Kay, who kicked off the webinar for us from New Statesman, will be sending around questionnaires. You'll get a copy of the slides that you've seen today. So it just leaves me to thank you all for attending. Hopefully it won't be a one-off. Hopefully you'll join us on this journey of series of webinars. And yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.